were your inspirations to even drive you into the nursing profession?
I think, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that, like, embarrassing me. I'm trying really hard to, that's one of the things. That's actually one of the things I think that a lot of people of color have a hard time with, a lot of black folks with, a lot of queer individuals have a hard time with is accepting those flowers, right? Accepting that stuff. We're not used to people praising us for the things that we do. So thank you. I'm practicing at that. So thank you. I was really trying to think back about who my inspirations were to get into nursing, and there's one in sort of person and situation, but then also, like, I was thinking about who were my black nurse people that I got to look up to when I was younger, and we don't talk about black nurses as people that we look up to, that like as role models, right? It doesn't exist. Now, I knew lots of black nurses where I grew up,
yeah,
who were influential in my life, like as a part of my church community or, the community where I live, but there's not a lot of famous black nurses, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman are the two that most people know, but most people don't even know them for their work as nurses.
Yeah,
so, my inspiration, honestly, is my mother, who is, so for folks who don't know, I am a black biracial man. So my father is black, my mother is white. Deep in our family roots, both sides have a lot of indigenous American blood, but I don't identify with a particular tribe. So my mother is white, but she raised 3 little black kids in the hood. And while she was doing that, as a single mom, and while she was doing that, she was a pediatric ICU nurse.
Oh, wow.
And I always thought it was the most badass thing that my mom would just, like, she worked night shifts sometimes, so she would just go up and, she'd come back with her girlfriends and they'd be, this is how old I am, are you ready? They'd be sitting on the stoop outside drinking Bartles and James, wine coolers, talking about, oh, this and that happened. And, she would tell these stories of just the families that she helped and the kids that she helped and everything. And it was really, really inspirational for me. And so I very much was attracted to the profession, to nursing, to healthcare. And I loved it from an early age. But then, something, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. And so I grew up in this really weird dynamic where during the week, often my mother would be the only white person that I would see.
Okay.
Because I kind of grew up in the hood. And then on the weekends, my mother would sometimes take us to where her grandparents lived. And then my sister and brother and I would be the only black people I would see. Because in rural Nebraska, it's not a lot of black folks running around, right? So I had this really interesting dichotomy of experiences. So being the brown, fat, effeminate kid, knowing that I was kind of different, knowing all of that, I wasn't in a rush. People already were teasing me for being gay. And this was when I was 10, even 12, right? So I wasn't in a rush to be like, I can't wait to be a nurse, right? Like, that's like just the whole male nurse thing. That was a whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I always knew though in the back of my head that I really wanted to do this. Well, it also turns out that I was really good at journalism, and apparently I'm good at talking. So I went and got a broadcast journalism degree. Fast forward through high school, my bachelor's degree is in broadcast journalism. And so that was great, and I turned that into like a journalism, PR, marketing career, and it was awesome. But the entire time, that little voice in the back of my head just would not let me go. It would not let go. So I decided to, at age 29, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to leave this corporate career. I had been taking prerequisites slowly for years and years and years.
Okay.
Right, a little night school at the community college in Chicago, a little microbiology on, Tuesday and Thursday nights, whatever, doing that whole thing that lots of people do. And then I applied to an accelerated nurse practitioner program.
Okay.
And I didn't even know really what that meant. I just knew that my mother was such an inspiration to me because of everything she talked about with the families that she helped, with the kiddos that she helped. She loved pediatrics. She loved kids. And, her being an inspiration for me, I was like, I don't want to look back and be 85 on my deathbed or, 107, because, I'm going to try to live forever. And be like, well, what if, right? What if I let go of all the haters? What if I let go of all that self-doubt, all of that society stuff that was holding me back, and decided, like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do the thing that I feel like I need to do to give back to my community, to give back to the society overall. And I am a spiritual person, not particularly religious, but spiritual. But I do feel like it was a calling. Like, I had this calling, so you got to do this. And so I quit my job and I did it, and I have never looked back, and I've never been happier. I have never regretted it, not once.